you struggle with everyday small things, like how to hang toilet paper this or next Thursday, the proper use of y'all? Then join Gary and JR as they consider these and other trivial matters. The Small Things Considered podcast from Ranch Hand Records, appearing every other Tuesday, alternating with Three Things of JR.
Hello and welcome to Three Things with JR. I am your host, JR. I am recording this at 12:17 a.m. on Tuesday, August 8th. This is the day that this podcast should drop, which means I'm not going to have to schedule it for later. As soon as I'm done and uploading it, I will just drop it. And once again, I am up way too late recording this podcast. I can't just not do it. Every now and then I can talk myself into, you just don't have enough time to do a podcast this week, but this week isn't one of them. I've got stuff to say, and I feel like I have a responsibility. There's not a ton of you listening to this show, but I don't care. I want it to come out every week, so damn it, I'm going to do an episode. But I'm not going to spend a ton of time. This will be a shorter than normal episode because I really need to get to bed. But I want to let you know a bunch of stuff that's going on, stuff I'm thinking about. I got an update on my dog, Scherzer. If you've been listening to this podcast for any length of time, you might remember that he was attacked by a pit bull last year. I got an update on that. Got some vacations coming up, and I'm looking for recommendations. I want to tell you that there's an interesting episode of Small Things Considered and some follow-up on this week's or last week's Small Things Considered that you should learn about. I mentioned in this I mentioned in the last episode of Three Things with JR that I'm working on a new YouTube channel, and I can't remember right now how much detail I gave you, but I can tell you this. It's called What Is It About You? That's the name of the YouTube channel. We're going to have a website to support it. I've got enough footage for the first 3 or 4 videos, and I'm really, really excited about it. I have almost finished editing episode number 1. And it's turning out great. And I've got more footage than I could possibly use. Here's the concept. Here's the idea. I'm going to go out to places like public places, like in Charlottesville, the downtown mall. And I'm going to find people that look interesting, that might want to talk to me while I record them on camera. And we'll see what happens. And then I'm going to edit that into a fun video with some shots of the beautiful downtown mall or whatever setting I find myself in where I find some interesting people. The idea is not to find people that we can make fun of, but to find people that have interesting things to say and are willing to say them to me when I ask them questions about what is it about them that makes them interesting. And I found some people on the downtown mall. I found some people in Iowa when I was out there last month. So I've got a bunch of fun stuff that I will be editing down into some fun YouTube videos. I am going to ask you to watch, to share those videos, to like them and subscribe, all those things that the YouTubers say. I'm going to want you to do that because I think if you enjoy this podcast, you're going to enjoy that even more because it's less about me and it's more about finding what's interesting in total strangers. And so that's the concept of the channel. It's called What Is It About You? If you find it on YouTube right now, there's no videos uploaded yet. They are all coming soon. You will know when they're coming. I'll try to make a big deal about premiering those videos and getting the word out there. And I'm going to need your help in spreading the word about this new YouTube channel that should be pretty interesting. Also, to be fair, the band, you just heard it. They're the theme song. We are the theme song for this show. We have a gig in Stanton coming up at the Clock Tower on Saturday, August 19th. So if you're anywhere near Stanton, you might want to make your way to the Clock Tower to check out To Be Fair. We're going to play a couple hours in the main room, not the big old performance space in the back, but the performance area up front. I think there's like a stage up front in the restaurant area. That's where we're going to be playing for just a couple hours. And we've been rehearsing our asses off. So we're pretty confident you're going to enjoy it if you show up. So Saturday, August 19th, Clock Tower in Stanton, to be fair. As you know, this show alternates weeks with Small Things Considered, the podcast I do with my bandmate Gary Hawthorne. And in last week's episode, we discussed the Jason Aldean song and video for his Try That in a Small Town. And we made a couple points. We did a sort of a live reaction thing where we watched the video, listened to the song, and recorded our live reactions to what we were seeing and hearing. And we had plenty to say about it. And there's already been some chatter on our Facebook group about what we had to say about it. And it was really less about what we had to say about it and more about the song and the video. But feel free to go back and check out that episode. It was a little bit vindicating today when both Gary and I, separately and independently, checked out today's episode of the Rolling Stone Music Now podcast, where they discussed this same song and video. And darn it, they had a lot of the same things to say that we had to say. They pointed out they leaned in really hard on the fact that Jason Aldean had nothing to do with the writing of this song. They mentioned that the band was very Nickelback-ish. They mentioned that it seemed like it was unnecessarily divisive, and a whole bunch of other things that were very similar to what we said. So maybe the guys from Rolling Stone... well, they're smart music people, and they came to the same conclusion that we did, or they heard us first and then went and did their own podcast. I don't know, whatever. Either way, it was a fun show to do, and we're looking to have some more fun doing Small Things Considered. So make sure to check out that podcast every other week from this podcast. All right, I said I'd have a Scherzer update. Got two things going on with Scherzer these days. One, I left Scherzer here at home with Kiki, my girlfriend, while I was in Iowa a couple weeks ago. And up until that point, and for the last few months, 3, 4, 5 months, we have not felt safe leaving Scherzer home without putting him in his cage. He has severe separation anxiety, and if we're going to go anywhere without Scherzer, we put him in a cage because he will do everything in his power to escape from the house while we're not there. And he has done things like broken through windows, jumped out of second-story windows, torn screens up. He's tried to tear up interior doors to get out of the bedroom. We've tried so many different things, including drugs. We give him trazodone anytime we're leaving him home alone, whether he's in the cage or not. And we have not been willing to play around with not in the cage until I was in Iowa, and Kiki thought, I'm going to give it a shot. And she left him home alone for just an hour or two, just an experiment. And he did fine. She came home and he was just laying in his bed, not doing anything, not freaking out, not trying to escape, no evidence of damage. Everything was cool. So she did it a bunch more times. And when I got home, I was like, okay, you started this, Kiki, but I have a feeling this is going to be fine until Scherzer decides it's not fine. And so for a few more weeks, we continued to do it, never for too long. Right? An hour or two, maybe 3 at the most. And even then we knew we were taking a chance. But every time we would come home, Scherzer would be hanging out in his bed or hanging out in the back bedroom and just chilling and not tearing the place up. And we thought maybe he's matured. Maybe he is settled down and he is confident that we're going to come back. And so he has no need to try to escape to come find us. That was true until Saturday. Saturday when I came home in the middle of the day, I picked up my motorcycle and was riding it home from the shop. Kiki was out, I was out. We left him at home on drugs, on the trazodone, which is like a sedative. It relaxes him, and he gets very lethargic. But not lethargic enough, apparently, because when I got home, I pulled in on the bike, and there was Scherzer in the driveway greeting me as I pulled up on my motorcycle. And so I just, it didn't take long to find the window that he had broken to get out. And this would be the third glass window that he has broken through on this house. The first 2 times he broke through glass windows, It was crazy. There was blood all over the place. He had chewed through some blinds. He had broken through glass, and there was blood on the front porch. There was blood on the blinds. And the weird part was we went over Scherzer with a fine-tooth comb, could not find any evidence of scratches or cuts from glass at all, despite the fact that there was a pretty decent amount of blood. But he seemed totally fine. And when he escapes, he doesn't run off into the wilderness. He just hangs out in the driveway waiting for us to show back up. But it was crazy how much blood there was, yet no evidence on Scherzer that there was any injury of any kind. This time was different. It was the opposite. No blood anywhere. Broken glass, pieces of glass sort of still sticking out of the window frame that he had clearly wedged himself out of. And Scherzer was, again, like I said, waiting in the driveway for me when I got home. And then the next morning, I noticed right on his butt, kind of right next to his butthole, was another hole. He had an additional hole in his butt. It was kind of like a flap of skin, and you could see a little bit of blood around it. It wasn't openly bleeding or anything like that, and I haven't seen blood anywhere in the house. So he's not bleeding from it, but he does have a cut from the glass. And yet he seems totally fine. He was very happy to see me, but yeah, the Scherzer Uncaged experiment is over. And we will be sticking him in the cage for his own protection whenever we're leaving the house. And if we're leaving the house for any extensive period of time, of course, we're putting him in a pet motel, which seems to work out pretty good. So the pit bull lady, the lady that owns the pit bull that attacked Scherzer April of 2022 at the Meadow Creek Disc Golf Course in Charlottesville, just took Scherzer within inches of his life. If he had punctured the trachea or the esophagus or anything really important like that, we could have had some major health problems. As it was, when this pit bull attacked my little dog, he bruised him, he got some cuts, and he certainly traumatized the hell out of Scherzer. But nothing life-threatening. So he healed up from those, took a few months. It was about $3,000 worth of vet bills. And the lady who owned the pit bull, if you've listened to the show back then, you would know a lot of this story already. But she took full responsibility. Her dog had to be put down, and she did that. It made her very sad, but she understood it needed to be done. She's agreed to pay me. She even paid me in cash twice, right after this attack happened. Within the first month, she gave me cash. She doesn't seem like the most mentally stable person. She's not a crazy person, but she's a little bit of a crazy person, and isn't doing great financially, and will tell you all of her sob stories if you give her a chance. When we were texting and she wasn't paying, and she started to get an attitude with me when I texted her about not paying, she had to go back to court, and the judge set up a thing so that now she was no longer trusted to just send me the money directly, because she hadn't sent me any more money directly, even though she was ordered to by the court. Now she had to send the money to the court so the court could keep track of her progress. That was in January of 2023, so 8 months ago now, that she was ordered to pay the court a certain amount a month. I forget how much. It wasn't much. The judge was very lenient with how much money he was expecting her to pay each month, and hadn't seen a dime of that until now. Finally got a check for a whopping $200. And I'm hoping for a lot more of those in the coming months. Maybe this is the start of a new trend of her actually being able to pay for this vet bill. That would be awesome. So any little bit helps. I had to put it all on a credit card, and I'm still paying it off. So there's that. So that's the Scherzer update. And one last thing, got some vacations coming up, and in a couple weeks, Kiki and I are heading up to New York because we just can't get enough Broadway musicals. And we need some recommendations. We have not bought tickets to shows yet. We're pretty sure we've got 4 chances to see a show. We're going to take the train up there on a Tuesday. So that means we've got whatever shows are happening Tuesday night to choose from. Wednesday is a popular day for matinees, so we'll have the opportunity to see something in the afternoon and in the evening on Wednesday. We're going to see something Thursday evening, and we're going to train it home on Friday. So we got 4 slots to fill, and we know we want to see Shucked, which is a very popular musical these days that's all about corn. I like corn. I like corn in all of its different varieties. I've never met corn I didn't like. So why wouldn't I like a musical about corn? It's called Shucked, and I'm really looking forward to that. And believe me, we're looking. We kind of are aware of what else is available, but would love to hear it if you have any recommendations for any current shows on Broadway that you think should not be missed. Because I don't know when we're going to get back to New York to see anything more. It'll probably be another year before we're back up there. So let us know what you think we should see. Also, in September, got a big old family trip planned for Nashville. Never been to Nashville. No idea. I know that there's plenty of stuff to do. I know the Grand Ole Opry there, and it's Music City and all that. But I'm looking for more specifics. If you are familiar with Nashville, what should we not miss while we are there? We'll be there from Monday through a Friday. So would love to know what you think needs to be experienced during a week in Nashville. All right, I told you this episode was going to be short. Look at that. We're less than 20 minutes. Thank you so much for listening to 3 Things with JR. Listen next week to Small Things Considered, where we, Gary and JR, consider a small thing, such as try that in a small town. That was a small thing. It's turned into a bigger thing since we started talking about it, but it's a small thing. We talked about Jason Aldean's Small Thing. All right, I got to go. I really should be getting to bed, and so should you. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
No red, oh no blue.